that people don't know about me that is I grew up on an orange grove for the first 9 years of my life in the middle of literally nowhere. My family's in the orange business. That's the fruit business.
Mine was at one point as well.
Yeah.
Mine too.
amazing.
Is
Really?
that weird?
That
I
is
grew up on
weird.
an orange farm as well.
Okay, this
wow.
is getting weird.
I didn't know any of that.
So we were competitors.
Yes, we were.
Right.
Go Florida.
Hostile. Yeah, screw Florida.
Ah.
Anyway, so I'm sorry. That just came out of me. So I grew up on an orange grove. So I grew up like by myself. Like the bus came and picked us up individually. I was the first one picked up and the last one dropped off every single day of my childhood. That's how far out in the boonies we were. Were you there when we did a fight in Visalia?
Yes.
Yeah, all right. So
I know.
Visalia, California, which you're staring at me like you have
no idea.
You
Never heard of
shouldn't
it.
know
Yeah.
what Visalia is. We were in Visalia, which is the big city to me when I was a kid. And we're at a restaurant. Remember, you might not have been there. I was let's get breakfast. We went to this breakfast place. And one of the fighters who was local saw me in there and goes, dude, how do you know about this place? And I said, I grew up in Orosi down the road. And he literally looked at me and goes, people live in Orosi? I swear to God, he was like, people live down there? I went, yeah, no, I grew up on a grove there. He goes, oh, yeah, it's all orange groves. Yeah, it makes sense. So, yeah, that was like my formative years, like really isolated and really.
And people don't think of California as having any isolated pockets.
Oh, it does.
Yeah.
When you drive between, San
the
Francisco.
Grapevine or
Yeah, the Grapevine. You drive up from between San Francisco and LA, that flat nothing is the San Joaquin Valley, and that's where I grew up. And until I was about 9. So really isolating, really I didn't have a neighborhood with like kids in it or anything like that. So yeah, that was really formative for me. I was always alone doing reckless, dangerous things.
So the Grove fertilizer is what made your hair grow very well.
Yeah,
right?
basically.
'Cause you used to play. You're right.
Oh man, playing on farm equipment and all this crazy stuff that that was my whole childhood.
Yeah. And so early on, what are your maybe most sculpting moments that you pull out that brought you to decide you want to like join a gym, become a mixed martial artist, and start pulling on that thread?
I think the first things were growing up there and the way I was raised, the environment I was raised in, physical danger didn't mean very much. It was like, I put an axe through my hand one time messing around, and I put an axe through my finger, right? And it went halfway, like I lifted up my hand and the axe was hanging from my finger.
Oh my God.
And I was like, oh crap. And I pulled it out and I went to the bathroom and got Bactine and I'm maybe 6.
To yourself, by yourself.
Yeah, no, I was like, okay, it burned. All right, that's okay. I taped it back up and it healed and I was fine.
But here's why I had to do that though, because if we didn't do that, our moms would have brutalized.
Don't bleed on the floor. That's right. You better not bleed on the floor.
It was all self-preservation.
Their priority for some reason. Yeah, it was more like, if you can deal with it yourself, you're okay.
Deal with it. Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of how I was raised out in the country. So the idea that I would get hit in the face and panic, or like that I would get some kind of emotional, oh my God, I wasn't raised that way. So
entering the fight world was kind of natural.
Yeah, it didn't really seem weird to me. And I'm not a social animal, as you know, Mercedes. So Mercedes is one of the few people I like hung out with and spent time with. I just, I don't do that often. So the idea of one-on-one combat appealed to me a lot. I didn't have to rely on, the halfback messed up or whatever. I don't like that. I'm not built for that. And so individual sports just appealed to me a lot more. So I was a wrestler in high school and then went into MMA when I was in college and started doing jiu-jitsu. I was at UCLA and just started doing jiu-jitsu for the hell of it. Coach ran into me and was like, oh, you should try it. I was like, okay, and I did. And then I was in Southern California post-college, and I was driving through Huntington Beach, and I saw a sign that said jiu-jitsu, and I pulled over and signed up. It turned out to be what became Team Punishment, Tito Ortiz's team. Mm-hmm. So all these pros went through there. They just, all the time. And they just said at the end of jiu-jitsu class, they'd go, hey, what are you doing? I said, nothing. Can you stay an extra hour? Yeah, okay. All right, this is Dan Henderson. We're getting him ready for a fight. You're the 5th guy in this kind of like rotation. You're going to do this. Your job is to take down Dan Henderson any way you can. His job is to beat up Dan Henderson. His job is to kick Dan Henderson. His job, everybody had kind of this job, and they just needed a warm body. Mm-hmm. So that's how I first got in with high-level training, was they just needed a guy about my size who wouldn't complain, and that was me. And so I got into it, and that's where I took off fight-wise. Yeah, it was all that.